Just a little modification to our air intake on the carburetor before we put it on the motor. My good friend Bob, Iceman 122 from up in Canada, suggested that I put a screen over that, and he suggested this kind of a screen. Do you recognize what that is from? If you took the screen and put it in this piece here, yeah, that's off of a faucet aerator, and it just so happens that it fits perfectly on there. So he said that'll keep any foam pieces from getting sucked down into the motor. And I was thinking about it. I'm going to try putting the foam on there, but I wonder if that foam is going to be too much of an air restriction. This might end up being our air filter by itself. Well, we'll see. We'll try it both ways. Next up, getting it installed on the carburetor, on the motor. Okay, so next thing I'm working on after getting my velocity stack put in place on the engine. Ha ha ha, look at that velocity stack on there. Is that cool or what? Next thing I'm working on is resolving the issue where my chain link came apart. And the whole reason that it came apart is because the chain was hitting on the chain guard right there on the mounting area. Whoops, back up just a little bit, George. Right there. So what I am proposing to do, and what I have already started doing, is I am going to cut that off, but to mount it, instead, I have another wrench set up, and I have this screw here that will go right down here, and this will get mounted right on there just like that. How's that look, huh? Is that pretty good? What do you think? That'll do the trick. And that way, whoops, sorry for that. That way I could cut this back off here. And yeah, so that's the next thing to do. And I just gotta weld this on up in here above to the other wrench, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so we have our chain guard all set up, and there will be no more problem with the chain hitting on the guard. Actually, the chain runs behind the guard. Let me move you around and I'll show you that. You can see looking down in here that actually the chain runs behind the guard, and the guard covers the chain going to the back and the sprockets, but the chain between the motor and the front sprocket is behind the guard. So our next issue that I want to address and fix has to do with my foot pegs. You notice I've taken the handle grips off, and one of the things that I found when I was riding it is that while the height was comfortable, I actually had to spread my feet out more than I was expecting to get it out onto the handle grips. And also the downward tip was not really comfortable, and that was just in that short ride that I learned that. So what I'm planning on doing, you can see exactly how far those handle grips were beyond the angle piece on those handlebars. So what I'm figuring on doing is that I will cut that off right where the handle grips started, and then cut it back. Let me get a pointer here. I'm going to cut them off right here, and then I'm going to cut this back here, and then I'll re-weld these handlebars back on in here so that the handle grips will come right up against here, and I'm going to put them so that they're straight out, parallel, horizontal, rather than tipping down. And I think that'll make them more comfortable. So even though I'm not going to be able to keep this for myself, when I get it all done and I'm ready to sell it, I want it to be comfortable and work as good as it can for the next person in line. So that's the next step. Cut this, and weld it back together. Sometimes you have to have a third hand, and you got to kind of improvise. I was blessed that I was able to find this piece of tubing that fits perfectly inside of that handlebar, and so it'll keep my weld area lined up very nicely right in here when I get to weld it. You know what I'm saying? And the end of the where the handlebars got cut off, it's not perfectly straight. The curve was already starting at the point where they put the brace on. So it won't be noticeable, especially once you get the handlebar, the handle grips back on there. But I thought you might like to see my third hand, you know. Evolution isn't all it's cracked up to be. If we're supposedly getting better and improving, why did we lose our prehensile tail, which would effectively make us have three hands? And how come our feet aren't dexterous like monkeys are? They got four hands. What's with that? Yeah, evolution. Give me a break. Anyway, no more preaching. Back to welding. So now you can see we have our highway pegs all done, and I shortened them up by about 2 inches, if you can see that, and I made them horizontal instead of tipping down. Probably that window in the background ain't helping you any be able to see this and all that backlight. But yeah, I think that'll work out pretty well. Looks to me like I need to put another roller right down in here where this motor mount is. That's bouncing pretty good there, and the chain has stretched out so that this is not doing a whole lot of good at the moment. So I'm thinking maybe I need to change this setup so it's instead of being stationary, this is screwed right into the side of the block. Instead of being stationary, maybe I need to make it on a pivot with a pressure spring-loaded setup like we have over here, you know. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that today or not. I have a meeting I have to go to tonight, and I need to get in-house and get cleaned up a little bit. So we'll see. I'm going to putter around a little bit longer. We'll see what I can come up with. Well, several people had said it was a little bit too loud, so we're quieting it down. I think I need to make the hole a little bit bigger, though. Too much. This piece is just press fit in there. I'm thinking I might put one Tech screw in it, maybe from the bottom. I don't really want to weld it in, although I don't think it would even blow it out. It's not that much pressure on it, and like I said, I had to drive it in with a hammer. But it fit perfectly, and it does the job, and it does quiet it down a fair amount. I was thinking about putting this down in there, you know. How do you think that would look? That's just a thought, but I don't know. I don't want to get too small on my exhaust, and that hole there is about as small. I guess it's probably about the same size as that. I don't want to get any smaller than that. I really liked being loud myself. It was fun going down the road with it. It wasn't any louder than some of these big Harleys. Well, so there you have it. We're making more progress, and we're getting close to the big teardown. And I'm thinking about what kind of paint job we're going to put on this puppy. The paint that's on it, the original paint, is all cracked, and so it's going to have to be completely stripped off. So yeah, some kind of metallic paint. I wanted to do it red, but I don't think I have any metallic red left. So maybe it'll be blue or green, or maybe it'll be like a silver, or a beige silver metallic color. Maybe it'll be a mixture of colors. How's that? Fade it from one color into another. Yeah, just some things I'm thinking about. So anyway, till next time, this is George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man, saying thanks so much for watching, and I appreciate all of your help and your comments along the way. Bye now.